The Israelis just suffered an enormous embarrassment when those 6 prisoners, the 6 Palestinians, broke out of the prison, out of Gilboa, a maximum security prison, with a spoon, a goddamn spoon. So to compensate for that, they're putting out this article in the New York Times saying, oh, look how sophisticated Israel is. They used some kind of a brand new drone that doesn't exist to kill this Iranian nuclear scientist deep inside of Iran. And, you know, they're so intelligent. They're just, they even smuggled the parts and they're the best. And you see this all the time, right? Every movie, every book that has any mention of the Mossad is like they're galaxy-brained geniuses, right? So to compensate for this embarrassment, this is what they release. But again, don't get distracted by the bullshit, because while the New York Times is doing PR for the Israelis saying, oh, look how smart they are. Isn't that cool how they killed this nuclear scientist? Whoa. Why are you killing nuclear scientists? Is it okay for Iran to kill Israeli nuclear scientists or American nuclear scientists? Because they do have fucking nukes. They actually have a nuclear arsenal. We don't know if Iran has a nuclear program. Actually, let me say that again. We know that Iran does not have a nuclear program, again, because the IAEA has this much inspectors and cameras shoved down their fucking facilities. So if anyone was developing a nuclear program in Iran, we would have known a long time ago. Okay? So don't let them distract you by trying to allure you and say, oh, look how sophisticated this assassination. It's murder. There's no proof that this guy was working on a nuclear program, let alone a weapons program, nuclear weapons program. And again, we know that the U.S. lied about WMDs in Iraq. They lied about WMDs in Syria. Why the hell would you believe them when they talk about WMDs in Iran? How many goddamn times do we have to go through this? Have people learned fucking nothing? How many times do we have to go through this? Do I need to remind you that America, the United States, has nuclear weapons, and it's the only country that's ever used them, and it erased 2 cities in Japan full of civilians? You're worried about Iran? Iran didn't nuke Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Iran is not the one who dropped so many bombs and chemical weapons on Fallujah in Iraq that Fallujah now has the highest rates of birth defects in the world, more than Hiroshima and Nagasaki, who were nuked. So if there's someone who's being reckless and careless with radioactive material, weaponizing depleted uranium and white phosphorus, it's the United States, it's not Iran. And the UK does the same thing. Israel has a nuclear weapons program. Why is no one making a nuclear deal about them, to monitor them, to make sure they dismantle that? Why are you okay with Israel having nuclear weapons after how they kill Palestinians? They bomb Syria every week. They have no respect for international law. Israel has not even signed the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. Israel has not even signed the ban, the OPCW ban on chemical weapons. They have no interest in actually having a nuclear-free world. They want these weapons. They want WMDs, and you're worried about Iran? What? Why don't you look at the countries who are using nuclear weapons and building nuclear weapons and amassing an arsenal? This is so ridiculous. And as we said, if the ballistic missile program, Iran's ballistic missiles, are so threatening for Israel that Israel is panicking, trying to get them into a new nuclear deal, then why would Iran have an incentive to build a nuclear bomb? The ballistic missiles are enough. Why would Iran go and do the one thing that would guarantee, a hell breaking loose because of the West? Look how they're already picking on Iran. I'm sorry, man. After Iraq, after Syria, I'm not believing anything about WMDs coming out of the mouth of the mouths of Western politicians. You are a dunce if you believe anything like that, especially when the IAEA has confirmed Iran is following the nuclear deal. There is no proof of a nuclear weapons program. Like, what more do you need? What more do you need? Stop falling for this Israeli bullshit propaganda, this American propaganda. They just make up the biggest lies about countries to justify killing their civilians and their violating their sovereignty and starting wars with them. Come on, man, wake up. Stop this. Enough.